You know, Benjamin Franklin, when he was 20 years old, he picked 13 virtues that he wanted to bake into his life. I don't know how a 20-year-old would have the insight to say, I'm going to practice temperance and moderation, chastity, humility, silence, all of these virtues. And he would take one virtue per week for 7 days. He would have a notebook where every time that virtue was tested, either successfully or unsuccessfully, he took copious notes about it. He did it week after week. So 13 virtues per quarter, 4 times a year, until he had, after decades, achieved almost moral perfection in those 13 areas. Now, sadly, there aren't a lot of Benjamin Franklins on earth today, but there are a lot of young people who don't like the direction the world's going, and they have a desire to make it better. And if AI apps can be deployed on any skill, virtue, or trait that you want to bring into your life, and all of a sudden, for the first time in history, you have a constant feedback loop that doesn't require a Benjamin Franklin notebook, but instead gives you nudges or suggestions and reinforcement, positive reinforcement. So 5 times to 1, it tells you you're doing a good job. As we design this platform to hopefully help people uplift each other with all the talent and expertise that's out there, we would love for all of you to use the products, to try them out, to spread them in your organizations, and then to open doors to organizations that you are aware of, that you are fond of, that could benefit by deploying this. Workplaces that do want their employees to have an uplifting experience and then great experience outside of work as well. About a half hour after this call ends, you'll get an email from Soar that will have a table of contents or summary of this entire call. Each topic that's mentioned will have a link to the video, and you'll click on it and go right back to 12 minutes in, we talked about this topic. 15 minutes in, we talked about this topic. It's called Soar Scribe. With machine learning models around civility or dignity or a certain kind of persuasive communication or empathy or appreciation, these ML models will soon be available to people who are using Soar Scribe. So all of your internal meetings, your calls with people, remote workforce or sales calls, and coaching calls and educational calls, lectures, those kinds of things will all be automatically transcribed, automatically summarized with links to the main points, but also ML models that you've chosen to bring in to see, how did I do? How did I do on this call with my goal of asking great questions and listening more than I talk? Okay, I fail on that almost every call, Keith. I just will admit, I'm usually 60 or 70% of the talk time. A few times I've been below 50%, and once I was below 30% of talk time. And that's a victory. That's like a Benjamin Franklin. His silence was one of his 13 virtues. And at the end of his life, he was the wise last person to speak. He wasn't just talking and talking like I tend to do. So any of us that have a goal of increasing a virtue or improving a skill will not only get the summary with the links, but also a score with, hey, Keith, in this moment, you did really, really well. 3 times in the call, you expressed appreciation to your team, and it was genuine, specific, and timely. That's awesome. Here's one time where you did such and such that might have, not been the language of inclusiveness or something. So all of a sudden, whatever you're trying to get it better at, you get feedback on. We think of this as game film for professionals, for people in the workplace, people in government. For the first time in history, you'll have access to game film like athletes do, where you can see areas for improvement, but also you can replay the things that you did really well and gain self-efficacy about your skills.